Hey, welcome to Cultivating Clarity. We're your hosts, Halle and Jimena, and this is where your journey to self-discovery and fulfillment begins. In each episode, we are going to explore the worlds of creativity, purpose, and community to bring you inspiring stories and practical advice on how to live a life true to yourself. So let's get intentional, let's be vulnerable, but most importantly, let's have some fun along the way.
Do you feel like you change when you go to a different environment, or do you always remain your beautiful self? Do you always bring your curls and let them out? Do you always let your smile bright up the room? Or do you feel like sometimes when you walk into a room, you feel like you should be like everybody else?
That is such a big one. Such a big one. And you know what? If I'm being completely honest, I'm in process with that. I'm in process because I've lived so much of my life as a people pleaser, and I'm a recovering people pleaser now, right? So I'm learning how to show up authentically as myself and be that in all situations. And it's super challenging because we want to fit in, we want to conform. And there's this phrase that I've heard this week, and it's called mass motivation. It's called mass motivation. And mass motivation is all about this idea that we conform to the environment that we're in. And if we're not aware, we're just going to go right along with it, and we could potentially get to the end of our lives and not be where we want to be. Right? So this idea of mass motivation starts from our little lives, right? Like, we're born into this family. Our parents really have a big part to play in conditioning who we are.
That's right.
And then we go into school, and little people, the biggest concern of little people when they start going to school is, I want to fit in. I want to be liked. And so we go through that process, and then it just continues and continues and continues. And you look at, people doing everyday life. The masses are on this path of, okay, I've got a good job, I've got a house to live in, I've got a car, yep. Tick, 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 these things are great. And I'm not saying that they're bad, they're awesome, right? But we go along with all of this, and we live in the suburbs where, people live, and lots of people live in houses that all look the same and apartments that all look the same. And we drive the cars that everyone else drives. And it's this idea of mass motivation. We just conform to the environment around us. And I think when we see that, it really opens up this opportunity for us to question and have a look at our lives and have a look at what we really want, have a look at our values, have a look at our dreams. Where do I want to be? Where do I want to live? What do I want to do with my life?
That's right.
So many people settle. Well, everyone else just has, 40-hour-a-week job, and, they're doing all right, and they're getting by, and da-da-da. And those people live in the same kind of suburbs, in the houses that all look the same, and spend their time the same, and do the same things on the weekend. So it's an opportunity to ask, what do I really want? What do I want my life to look like? Do I want something different for my kids?
That's right. And even nowadays, I feel like the way we follow people's masses it can be through social media, because we look at what is the trend and what everybody's doing, and then we follow. And I think there are very few people that will, innovate and be different and be themselves. And it's interesting because, yes, it happens in something like social media, but it also happens on a daily basis when we go to work. And
Mm.
it happens to everybody in every stage, like you are saying, in every season of life. And I think is fascinating when we really stop and think about, wait a minute, why do I even want this? Do I really want this? Or
Yep.
I just want it because everybody else has it? And why am I acting this way? I was telling you before our phone call that um, in the last couple of weeks, I've been going to London once a week. And I don't live in London. I live about 3.5 hours away from London in the countryside. So going to London is like this huge change where you get off the train and all of a sudden everybody's running, everybody's going late, everybody's on their phone, nobody's looking around, nobody's talking to anybody. It's just boom, boom, boom. And by the time I get to my office, I'm like already feeling the pressure. Do you know what I mean? Like by the time I get to my desk, I'm like, can I say good morning? Like, are we all right to chat? And it really, we have seen it many times where my boss and I, we get on the train, we get to London, we go together and we talk to people or we offer people a cup of tea and they get a bit shocked because they're like what are you doing? And because we come with this different mindset and with this different way of being, but conforming to that environment right away.
Mhm.
So it's fascinating to see. And yeah, have you ever experienced something like that in your workplace or the places you are surrounded by?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of times when I worked in a male-dominated industry where
Okay.
there was a time where I was the only female working with a bunch
Really?
of guys. And ha I remember being very intentional about this is the standard of how I will
Yeah.
be treated. Um, but that was such a fine balance of of setting the boundaries, but then
Yeah.
also being a friend and being, someone who was great to work with. So, yes, I have experienced that as well. And I have a question for you. Like, as you were speaking, I'm thinking, what did you notice change when you're in your workplace and you're offering these people cups of tea and they're a bit shocked? Like, what do you notice happens after that? What unfolds?
I think what I notice is people, it's like you're almost giving them permission because they're like, oh, yes, yes, please, thank you. And I would love a cup of tea. And then, a couple of minutes later, they're asking you, so how are you? And it's like you've just opened this like conversation. And it's really beautiful to see because it is, I believe, it gives people permission when we just remain who we are, regardless of the environment, how corporate, how serious, how formal the environment is. I love kindness and I treasure. I feel like one of the things that I love seeing in people and encourage is kindness because I feel like is a way to break boundaries and just you can just turn up and do something kind without asking for permission and just give people something or tell people something encouraging and just be kind and I do that intentionally often. So I will show up and just tell people something great that I notice about them. And I like there are so many stories I could tell you about the way people just kind of like go blank and then they go like, oh yes. Oh yeah, and you're great too. You
Wow,
know?
it's almost like you're shocking them out of like some robotic state,
Yeah.
right? Like they
Yeah.
forget that they're human. And I think sometimes when we're in these, especially in city life, big city life,
Mhm.
you really feel like you just get locked into the system. This is how fast we go. This is da, 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 da. We're meant to jam our lives full of all of this stuff and just be
Yeah.
robotic. And what I'm hearing you say is as you come in and bring your authenticity, bring your full self, you're waking people up and you're helping them, you're inviting them to this space to remember that they're human, to
That's right.
remember that we need connection.
We
And it's
do.
actually good to
So
connect.
true.
We thrive when
Yeah.
we connect with others. And so that intentionality that you bring to everything that you do is so beautiful. And I think just such a powerful reminder for us as we go through our week and as we continue on our lives is to remember that we're human, to remember that we have incredible things to offer when we are fully ourselves. I would say that would be one of our key takeaways today. Like
Yes.
when you are fully yourself and you show up as that, you unlock something. You unlock something and it's beautiful and you invite people into a space. So, yeah, I love that story because it just gives us
Yeah.
a real practical picture of what that can look like in our everyday lives.
Absolutely. You're right. I think those are our takeaways, that when we embrace ourselves, when we embrace that true, beautiful nature that is within us, we're actually giving people permission. We're actually giving them this invitation to go ahead and do it themselves as well, to, you know, that the fact that we celebrate each other. And I think there is a beauty in it. And crazily enough, it like brings creativity, it brings harmony, it brings unity. There are so many beautiful things that come out of that place. When you just embrace that human side and you, yeah, there are standards and yes, there will be expectations, but you know, I think the biggest expectation we should all have from each other is to love one another. You know, that's you actually mentioned values, and this is where they come to play, because you know, you and I value that. We value that the word of God says, hey, this is the most important thing you need to do. You know, that is actually to love God and to love each other. And if you do that, you've done it. That's it. And so, because that is in our values, and because that is in at the core of our list, then we know actually that's what really matters. And so that's probably another question, is what are your values, and what are the people that you are hanging out with? Do they align with your values, or do they not really? And are you changing because of that, you know, because of the masses and because of the people that you're surrounded by?
Yeah.
Or are you remaining true to who you are and your values?
Yeah. And if you're looking at that question and you're like, well, yeah, I probably am conforming to the people around me, go get some new people.
Yeah.
Like that sounds brutal, but like go get some new people, because we become like the people that we surround ourselves with. So if
So true.
we need to have a look, like check yourself. Have a moment of reflection and really objectively look at yourself and go, am I really living the life that I want? Am I really showing
Yeah.
up as the person that I really want to show up as? And have a look. If you don't like what you see, stop it.
Yeah.
Change it. You have the power. You're powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's like three really cool things that we talked about today is check yourself. You know, are you changing to fit in, or are you taking your glorious self everywhere that you go? Right? So that's number one. What else have we got here, Mena? Number two would be...
Yes, to embrace our true selves and give people permission or an invitation to be themselves. That's number two.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and just remember to have a look at who you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
You truly do. You're the sum of the people that you hang out with.
That's right.
You can be part of the crowd and just fit in, or you can go live your big, beautiful life and find the people that are tracking with you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I just want to encourage you, as you listen to this, we want to tell you, and like Tala is saying, you are powerful. You are amazing, and that uniqueness that you have is gonna unlock beautiful things, and you can see it in your relationships, you will see it at your workplace, you will see it with your friends. And yeah, I think that's the best gift that you can give to humanity, is the true you, and not the one that you are looking around in social media, not your neighbor, is you. And we want to see you, and we want you to feel that this space celebrates you. So remember that. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah. If there's something that's really stood out for you in this conversation, comment, let us know.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you. If you're on your own journey or you've had an experience of this, share it with us. We'd love to hear your stories and keep growing our community of people who are cultivating more clarity and living lives with purpose and fullness and all the good stuff. So thanks for listening. We love you guys, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Cultivating Clarity. We hope you found some inspiration, had a good laugh, and maybe found a new perspective. Make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with our latest episodes. And if there was something you particularly liked in this show, please share it with a friend. We'd also love to connect with you on social, so come and find us at Intentional Studios and I Am the Freedom Collective for more fun and insights. Links are going to be in the show notes. And if you have a topic that you would like us to cover, drop us a message or a comment. And remember to keep cultivating your clarity and appreciate the small joys in life. See you next time. Bye-bye.